Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our first ever watch along, and what better way to start it off than analyzing the Timberwolves and Nuggets, who had one of the most entertaining series of the 2024 playoffs. And with this going all the way down to the wire, Game 7 provided us with some extremely high level basketball. Now after Denver got out to a great start in the first half, they came out halftime picking up right where they left off, so after a floater and a made three-pointer from Jamal Murray, they found themselves up 20 with right under 23 minutes to go in the game. So after a couple possessions, the Wolves run this pick and roll with Gobert and Conley, which leads to this big-to-big connection, but why exactly was this effective? Well, if you notice at the start of this play, Anthony Edwards is clearing out to the other side, which makes this an empty side pick and roll. Not only is that important, but also when you have a big and Karl Anthony Towns who can shoot the ball, he's able to pull his man outside. This right here leaves the Nuggets with no great rim protection down low, and the dunk is easy. The very next time down the floor, the Wolves run this high pick and roll for Anthony Edwards, and with it being a focal point to involve Jokic in these pick and roll actions because of his slower foot speed, this is where we see Ant be able to smash on the gas downhill to break the defense, and just when you think you have him covered at the rim, he kicks it out to McDaniels for a corner three to knock the lead down to 15. After an empty possession and this play where Cat gets to the line after almost punching it on Gordon, the Wolves almost get scored on this backdoor cut from Murray that catches Ant off guard, but what could have turned into 2 points for the Nuggets ends in a block from Gobert and instead ends up in a fast break run out where Edwards can lead the race. This sequence gave life to the entire Wolves team, and even the commentators are touching on this. So after a Jokic missed three, an Edwards missed three, and then a Jamal Murray brick that bounces into Cat's hands, you're gonna hear Mike Norrie tell Ant to go. So once passing half court, Ant crosses through the legs to attack this gap in the defense, which is gonna force MPJ to slide over due to the foot speed of Jokic, and boy does this work wonders in the Wolves' favor. Immediately going down to the other end, the Wolves decide to fully commit to the double, making Jokic a passer since he put up 13 points and 15 rebounds in the first half, which ends up giving MPJ a wide open look, but with such a bad miss, it allows the Wolves to cut out the lead even further, as here when Ant pushes down the sideline, it brings that double all the way to him, which makes Porter have to close out hard on Cat, leaving Murray to split the ground between two. So a great ball movement, the ball ends up in the opposite corner, and the lead is now just only 6 points. Now this game we all love and call basketball is all about runs, as the tables turn with the Nuggets forcing Ant to throw a turnover on this corner pass, and then with the tip in that ends up in the hands of Brown, they score off this floater from about 8 feet right at the buzzer. Eventually the Wolves will score on this attack off the inbound from Cat that softly bounces in, and after a couple possessions pass by, you can see that Nikola Jokic is visibly getting gassed, and regardless if this is a foul or not, the Wolves capitalize on this turnover and set up the runway for takeoff. The burners on the stove were really starting to heat up on this Minnesota side, so to try and turn them down, Jokic navigates to the middle of the paint to sink this turnaround fade over Cat. But immediately when coming back the other way, Cat takes advantage of the mismatch with Brown and goes right past him to the rack to slip this in with the inside hand. So yeah, it really wasn't getting cooled down. The heat was really starting to get to Denver. So they used a double to force the ball out of Towns' hands, which ends up in a turnover. But now that this Minnesota team is locked in, once the ball is inbounded after Nas Reed kicked it out of bounds, Edwards zeroes in on the ball with those quick hands, and momentum is heavily shifted in the Wolves' favor. The Nuggets went right back to their star big man to get things back in order, and I'm not really sure if this one is actually a foul or not. But this ends up putting the Nuggets up 4 after some Jokic free throws, and with this game already being peak cinema, what better way could you really end the quarter than Anthony Edwards sizing up Aaron Gordon to then pull up from deep over the top, making it a 1-point game. I mean seriously, the entertainment and skill levels were at an all-time high, and things picked up right where they left off as Conley is able to hit Gobert off the pick and roll, which leads to a funny looking and one. I can't express how much this game had me on the edge of my seat, as there was so much going on in the second half, and with the Wolves pushing the pace off this Jokic miss, it creates a scenario where Murray shifts over to tag Gobert on the cut, but with him being smaller, Jokic decides to help over as well, leaving Nas Reed wide open on the backside. So once Reed receives the ball, he can dump it down to Nas Reed, who is able to use that size advantage to score over Murray. Minnesota not only has taken the lead at this point, but they're up 3 as well. Denver gets the ball in play to go right back to that Murray-Jokic pick and roll, and to no surprise, they create a gap for Jokic to get the ball and go score, and right back to a 1-point game we are. when trying to get into the offense going back the other way, and is met with the double that opens up this pass to Nas Reed, who does end up missing a 3, but with a lucky bounce the Wolves end up grabbing the rebound. Anthony Edwards then attacks the lane, which collapses the defense, allowing McDaniels to attack the Jamal Murray closeout, and what almost was a travel ends up in another bucket to open the lead back up to 3. Now, to see something we touched on earlier, the Wolves send a double at Jokic again to force a pass, which does end up happening, but since McDaniels has to rotate up on Murray, this leaves Conley the responsibility of covering Brown and MPJ, so after a series of swings, the game is all back knotted up. Like I said, this game was nuts, as once it seemed like Denver had played solid defense, all it takes is one slip up to happen, and yet again, the Timberwolves are back up on top after this amazing Mike Conley 3-ball. A couple minutes later, Rudy Gobert hits one of those shots that make you just shake your head in disbelief. And then he came right back on the defensive end and met Aaron Gordon at the rim like those Walmart receipt checkers. The Wolves were playing amazing, and finally I started to commit to that scheme of doubling Jokic and making other guys score the ball. And with Michael Porter Jr. not having the best game, it was working out perfectly for the Timberwolves. And with a big fourth quarter, Nas Reed is able to send this back down to earth once Jokic goes back up. And then in transition, Anthony Edwards gets fouled by KCP, and the call is just out of bounds. I mean, look at these plays. Big moment for Nas Reed in this closeout game, and then you can easily see why Edwards would be frustrated, as it looks like it's more arm-to-arm connection rather than making contact with the ball or his hand. The Wolves do get the ball back, but then they lose it with a Gobert moving screen, and right on cue as Reggie Miller is talking about him, Murray rises up off the high double screens for a big bucket. This game was truly one that kept on giving, and to build on that big performance Nas Reed had, he's able to take advantage of the defense doubling Edwards by attacking hard off the catch, use that clean Euro right around Jokic, and roll this one in gracefully. And he's not done yet, as he takes the matchup with Jokic personal and shows him he won't be bullied by smacking his fadeaway right back. Trust me, it's all about owning the momentum in these type of games, and certainly do the Timberwolves gain it after this big slam on the putback. Now let's rewind that back to see how things played out. Well, since the defense is heavily keyed in on Edwards right here, you can see that Nas Reed is crashing while Gobert boxes out Murray. Now at this time, Jokic isn't even aware that Reed is coming in, and well, you know the rest. Boy oh boy was this one for the books, as right when the Nuggets came back the other way, Mike Conley stole the ball from Murray, sends it over to Reed who's flying down, who then kicks it out to Edwards and is straight cash. At this point in time, the Wolves have swung the game 30 points as they're up now 10, and I would say this is the end of it all, but the Nuggets did knock down some key buckets to bring the game within 5, so the real end of it comes at the end of this shot clock possession as Mike Conley takes the initiative late game. Karl Anthony Towns, and that right there is when the game was pretty much over with. The Timberwolves showed some crazy fight and determination to get back into the game, and after a showing like this, you knew this team was truly special. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you're first to know when I upload. I thank you all for your support, and if you want to support me further, go ahead and sign up for the Patreon community below. I'll see you all in the next video.